All right, if you're in the software world at all, you've definitely heard of JIRA. It's kind of the beast of project management. It's incredibly powerful, but let's be honest, it can be a little intimidating. So in this explainer, we're going to do just that. We're going to tame this beast, taking you from a total beginner all the way to a pro, so you can really get a handle on your team's workflow. So you gotta wonder, where'd they get a name like JIRA? Well, it's no accident. The name actually comes from Gojira, which is the Japanese name for Godzilla. And honestly, it's the perfect name, because this tool is an absolute monster in the industry. So let's start with the absolute basics. What is this tool, really? At its heart, JIRA, which comes from Atlassian, is a super powerful platform for tracking bugs, tracking issues, and just general project management. You can kind of think of it as the central nervous system for countless development teams all over the world. Okay, to really get JIRA, you have to start with the single most important concept, the issue. Now, don't let the name fool you. It doesn't always mean there's a problem. An issue is just a single piece of work. Could be a bug that needs a fix, a cool new feature you want to build, or really any task your team needs to get done. Literally, everything in JIRA revolves around these issues.
But here's the thing. Not all work is created equal, right? That's where issue types come into play. A bug? That's pretty self-explanatory. A story usually describes a new feature from a user's point of view. Got a really big story? Well, that's an epic, which you can break down. A task is for other technical jobs, and a subtask lets you split any of these into smaller, manageable steps.
Okay, that's enough theory for now. The best way to learn this stuff is to just do it. So let's move on and see how this all works in the real world. We're going to walk through creating and managing your very first issue right now. And creating an issue is super, super simple. Seriously, you're just going to look for that big Create button and click it. Then you pick the project you're working in and what kind of issue it is. You know, a bug, a story, whatever. Fill in the important stuff, a quick summary, a good description, and who's going to work on it. Click Submit, and boom, you're done. That piece of work is now officially being tracked. But what happens when, two pieces of work are connected? Say you find a bug while you're building out a new feature. You definitely don't want to lose that connection. That's where issue linking comes in. And trust me, it's a total lifesaver. It lets you create a link between issues so your whole team can see how things are related.
Now, JIRA was practically built for Agile teams. But Agile isn't just one thing. JIRA mainly supports the two heavyweights of the Agile world, Scrum and Kanban. So let's dive in and break down what these are and how they're different.
And this leads to the big question, probably one of the first big decisions your team will have to make. Which board is the right fit for you? Because your choice between Scrum and Kanban is going to fundamentally change how your team sees and manages all of its work. Okay, so this table really breaks it all down. But here's the simple way to think about it. You go with Scrum when you're working in these fixed-length chunks of time called sprints. It's perfect for teams that have a roadmap and are building planned features. Kanban, on the other hand, is all about continuous flow. It's fantastic for teams doing things like support or maintenance, where work is more unpredictable, and the goal is to just keep things moving smoothly. All right, so an issue is created. Now what? It doesn't just sit there, right? It goes on a journey. And this journey has a name. It's called a workflow. And it basically maps out every single stage of your work, from the very beginning all the way to done. I love this analogy. Think of a workflow as a subway map for your task. The statuses are the stations, to do, in review, done. And the transitions are the tracks that connect them. They're the actions that move the work from one station to the next. And here we have the absolute simplest workflow you can imagine. To do, in progress, and done. An issue starts in to do, it moves to in progress when somebody actually starts working on it, and it finally lands in done when it's all finished. But here's the magic of JIRA. You can customize this thing to perfectly match exactly how your team works. So, what happens when your project starts to get big? I mean, really big. Things can get messy fast. A simple, flat list of issues just isn't going to cut it. Thankfully, JIRA gives you some great tools for organizing huge projects and breaking down complex work into something you can actually manage. So how do you keep a huge project from turning into total chaos? It really boils down to two key tools, components and subtasks. Think of components like, folders. You use them to group related stuff together, maybe for the UI team or everything related to the API. Subtasks, on the other hand, are for breaking a single big issue into smaller, bite-sized steps. Now, here are a few pro tips for using subtasks that will save you some major headaches down the road. You can have a whole bunch of subtasks under one main issue, but you can't go creating subtasks of subtasks. JIRA just doesn't allow it. And once an issue has subtasks, it's pretty much locked in as a parent. Just remembering those rules will keep your projects nice and tidy.
You know, a lot of people think JIRA is just a glorified to-do list, but it is so much more than that. It's actually a pretty amazing analytics engine. It's constantly collecting data on everything your team is doing, which means you can generate reports that turn all that data into really valuable insights about how your team is performing. These visual reports in JIRA are awesome for getting a quick gut check. Like, look at this. You can see in a split second what the priorities look like. If you see that your team is spending all its time on minor stuff while that blocker slice isn't moving, Houston, we have a problem. You immediately know where the focus needs to be.
Okay, for all you Scrum teams out there, listen up. This chart, the Burndown chart, it's probably one of the most important visuals in all of JIRA. It's like your daily progress report during a sprint. That blue line, that's your perfect world scenario, the ideal path to getting everything done. The red line, that's reality. If your red line is creeping up above the blue one, you know you're falling behind schedule. It's an absolutely critical tool for staying on track.
But JIRA has a ton of reports, and it's easy to get analysis paralysis. I mean, where do you even start? Let's just focus on the 3 most essential ones that'll give you the biggest bang for your buck right away.
Okay, here's your reporting starter pack, the 3 essentials. The Burndown chart answers the question, are we going to make it on time in this sprint? The sprint report looks back and tells you, okay, what did we actually get done? And the velocity chart helps you look forward, answering how much work can we realistically take on next time. All right, we've covered a ton of ground, so let's boil it all down to the key takeaways you need to remember. First, nail the basics. Really understand what an issue is, how projects work, and how workflows guide your entire process. Second, be deliberate about choosing your board. Scrum for planned work and sprints, Kanban for continuous flow. And finally, use those reports for actual insight, not just for tracking what's done. Wow, we've covered a lot, from its Godzilla origin story all the way to deep dive analytics. But if there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's this. JIRA isn't supposed to be a rigid system. Its real power is unlocked when you shape it and mold it to fit your team's unique way of working. So the real question I'll leave you with is this. How will you customize JIRA to empower your team?